Oke guys, kali ini kita akan mereact video yang akan membahas tentang produksi tahu. Tapi produksi tahu ini itu menggunakan bahan bakar yang beracun seperti plastik. Nah, untuk mengetahui konteksnya, mari kita bersama simak videonya. Kita mulai videonya ya.
There is plastic fumigated tofu that is quietly feeding and poisoning entire cities.
Bisa
And I'm not being
meracuni satu
sensationalist
kota.
because in this video, I'm going to prove it to you. We're visiting the global epicenter of toxic tofu.
Tahu
Surabaya.
beracun.
And here we'll see village after village that have giant industries producing industrial quantities of toxified tofu. Spoiler alert, it involves burning a lot of plastic. And we're going to be
Membakar plastik.
following it from just the raw curd through to the final crispy fried blocks.
Straight off the heat. It's really good.
And taking a look into the science that has been done in these areas and see
Sangat
why
beracun.
this is very likely to be a real bad idea with some pretty serious consequences. And then finally, we'll do what we probably shouldn't.
Nah, perlu diketahui ya, konsekuensi itu nggak harus dirasakan saat ini juga, tapi mungkin konsekuensinya itu berjangka waktu yang panjang. Jadi mungkin setahun kemudian, 5 tahun kemudian, dan 10 tahun kemudian. Itu jangka panjangnya. Mungkin jangka pendek, wah aman-aman aja nih, kayak nggak kelihatan nih. Tapi setelah jangka waktu yang panjang tadi, itu baru kelihatan dampaknya dari pembakaran sampah ini gitu.
Like millions do here on the side of the streets, and see just why, despite knowing exactly where this comes from, that people ignore it and
Di mana
why it's
sumbernya?
very unlikely to change. Let's roll. Indonesia eats a lot of tofu, but
Yeah, makanan
especially
kita
here
itu.
in the east of Java, in Surabaya and the surrounding area. It is Indonesia's second largest city, and you will find it everywhere. Fried, grilled, in soups, in snacks. It is a staple.
Iya, banyak
And the
banget tahu tuh
supply
variasinya.
chain starts in these tofu villages that surround the city's fringes.
You can sort of see the smokestacks as you walk through the village.
Just these huge plumes of black
terobong
smoke
asapnya.
rising out of chimneys across the villages. Thick, greasy smoke. It swirls in the heat and it looks like the village is full of tiny coal plantations, not food factories.
Gitu ya. Jadi kalau dilihat dari luar itu kayak pabrik gitu. Nah, tapi ketika di dalam lebih lanjut ternyata bukan pabrik industri, tapi pabrik makanan gitu. Ya kayak aneh gitu ya. Yang harusnya nih ngeluarin asap hitam tuh biasanya pabrik-pabrik kayak misalnya batu bara gitu kan, itu kalau dibakar kan asapnya hitam. Tapi yang diproduksi di sini itu makanan gitu. Kalau misalnya tuh batu bara kan nggak dikonsumsi itu nggak masalah. Tapi kalau misalnya kita bisa lihat gini, kalau ada bahan beracun di asap itu mungkin bisa mengenai makanan yang diproduksi di tempat itu. Ya, bahayanya di situ ya. Bahan kimia yang nggak kebakar habis ataupun tersisa dari pembakaran itu bisa menempel pada makanannya.
I'm making one of the most eaten foods here in Indonesia.
Tuh.
Tofu.
Nah, itu pabrik
Here's the
makanan
core
kayak
issue.
gitu.
Making tofu at this scale requires a lot of heat.
Tuh. Energi yang
Massive
banyak.
boilers running non-stop, huge woks to deep fry the product. And to keep the costs down, they rely on whatever is cheapest.
Apakah kalian mau ngorbanin biaya yang murah untuk kesehatan kalian? Gitu. Ya, jadi umpamanya seperti itu. Makanan murah oke, tapi kalian mau nggak mengorbankan kesehatan kalian demi makanan murah itu?
What is this? This is coconut? Or no, that's the trash as well.
Tuh, sampahnya. Tuh. Dikarung-karungin sampahnya ya, untuk bahan bakar. Ya.
Local plastic. Here in and around Surabaya, actually, they have a relatively efficient plastic industry. Like it is used for everything, and anything that does have a purpose other than burning will likely be used for that purpose. And as
Biasanya
I've
dibakar.
heard from the owner, they use a mix here of wood, coconut,
Campuran.
which you maybe see on top of the burner.
But the most reliable and consistent fuel is plastic waste.
Jadi ada yang pakai kayu ya, tadi kan pakai bahan bakar kayu dan mungkin batok kelapa ya, campuran berapa jenis kayu dan tadi plastik. Jadi campur tuh bahan bakarnya.
These boilers and these deep fryers with it all day long.
Sepanjang
One thing that is kind of nuts to me is just like the amount of fuel that is required to keep this tofu factory going. That boiler, I mean, it really is just like an old school steam train. Like,
Oh
the
iya,
thing is
kayak kereta uap
absolutely
dulu.
massive.
Ya kalau nggak tahu apa bentuk kereta zaman dulu itu kan pakai batu bara itu kan, dia butuh energi yang sangat besar untuk menggerakkan keretanya. Jadi ini kayak kereta zaman dulu nih diumpamakan seperti itu untuk mempertahankan energinya. Ya jadi banyak banget panas yang dibutuhkan.
Just rotating full time, loading up these coconut husks and bags of plastic, and it rolls all day long. And this entire village is filled with them. There are 56 factories, I believe they said,
50
that are
lebih
just filled
pabriknya banyak
with
banget.
trash burners. Absolutely wild.
Jadi nggak cuma 1-2 pabrik yang menghasilkan, ternyata itu banyak tuh ya, nggak cuma 1-2. Kalau 1-2 mungkin dampaknya nggak separah ini, tapi ini sampai 50 di seluruh tempat gitu ya. Jadi tersebar. Nah ini yang bisa meracuni satu kota ini. Ya, bayangin ada 50 pabrik seperti ini dengan yang bakar sampah, kotoran itu kemana-mana ya, sisa-sisa bahan kimianya itu yang udah dibakar, itu bisa meracuni, bisa dampaknya bisa pernapasan. Nanti kalau nempel di makanan, kemakan masuk ke dalam tubuh, itu kan bahayanya bisa kemana-mana. Gak cuma secara langsung, tapi secara tidak langsung juga bisa terdampaknya.
Arguments on the climate change side of things. I do think it's a little bit of a cult at this point, but let me tell you, going for those plastic straws, I don't think it's going to make a difference, guys. I really don't.
Ya, di luar negeri kan ada itu ya, kayak untuk apa ya, menjaga lingkungan itu dia mengurangi sampah plastik seperti sedotan. Tapi dampaknya mungkin nggak besar-besar amat gitu, karena sedotan kan kecil ya. Kecil, nanti kalau misalnya dia itu ditahan ya, ada sampah yang lebih besar yang bisa mempengaruhi lingkungan gitu. Ya, jadi ini ngebandingin, kalau sedotan tuh walaupun ada peraturannya itu nggak berpengaruh besar dibandingkan dengan pembakaran sampah seperti ini.
All these factories run in a pretty similar manner. At their core is a giant boiler. That boiler feeds steam through metal pipes across the entire space, and it connects to each individual workstation.
The boiler ends back there, and you have this one line that runs the entire length of the factory. So this factory seems to be set up very differently from any other tofu factory I have seen before. It's sort of like each person is running their own individual station, and they are going to do 90% of the steps to take the bean, curd, juice, somebody correct me in the comments, through to the complete white tofu.
Sisanya dari kedelai itu
These
diambil buat
workstations
tahu.
consist of 3 concrete vats.
The first one is like a pure boiler. This is where all of the tofu is going to get loaded and steamed up. They have a fresh water tub right next to it. And then a third one, which is where they're going to do most of the kind of coagulation and draining. Let's see each step broken down.
First, the soybeans are soaked
Prosesnya nih.
and then ground into a thick paste. The paste gets dumped into a boiling vat and brought to a rapid simmer by that live steam pipe. They're basically giant steam wands frothing up industrial-sized lattes.
Honestly, I can see why all these guys are shirtless. It is absolutely cooking in here, just the heat, the steam under this sort of asbestos roofing. And man, I wish I could rip my shirt off right now as well.
Ya, jadi benar-benar kayak industri di sana, udah kayak produksi udah besar banget ya. Lihat, setiap orang kayak punya stasiunnya sendiri, dan kita bisa lihat itu ya, dalam pelaksanaannya itu benar-benar panas. Kadang-kadang sampai si pekerjanya itu dia melepas baju karena ya kepanasan, uapnya tadi ya, uap dari boiler yang besar tadi itu meningkatkan suhu udara di sana. Tuh. Sampai ada yang
Once
kayak
it's
mandi.
boiled, they either scoop the milk or just straight pump it through one of these cheesecloth hammocks that are hanging above the curdling vat. Workers then swirl it around in this circular motion, forcing the thinner liquid through the cloth, while the solid stuff stays trapped. Eventually, they wring it
penyaringannya.
tight, twisting it like laundry,
What he has balled up right there, that's waste.
and they're left with this puck of soybean pulp.
That remaining solids from the tofu is often turned into a kind of tempeh, but they also apparently is just kind of given to animals. So it's sort of a waste product.
Ampasnya.
Yes, this is for human, and then this is for the cow, and then the what? Oh, pig too. Yes.
But back to the tofu.
So in
Jadi dipisah, ada yang untuk hewan, ada yang untuk konsumsi manusia. Jadi ada dipisah tuh sarinya sama ampasnya.
between these sort of stations is the coagulant. We're going to pump a certain amount of that in with the sort of strained tofu liquid, and now we wait. The strained milk gets
dikentalkan.
coagulant added. It's scooped from these large blue barrels that are placed next to each of the stations. You should now be able to see once the tofu has really started coagulating, they're able to just skim off any of the froth that's remaining on top, and you really see quite quickly the separation of the tofu and just the water that's remaining within the coagulation drum. So this tofu is already starting to really separate. You can start to see a watery surface on there, and underneath it is the sort of solidifying tofu. They remove as much water as possible, and then the curdled tofu mixture is poured into these presses that are lined with cheesecloth. They wrap it up,
Dibentuk nih.
stack them, and they do this over and over until they have a batch of around 9 molds. The weight from each of these presses forces out the liquid, which just gushes across these tiled channels on the floor.
Ya, jadi kalian sekarang tahu kenapa tahu itu bentuknya kotak-kotak, karena dari wadahnya itu kotak. Jadi ketika dia bentuknya masih belum mengental, belum mengeras, itu dia masih cair kan. Nah, ketika udah mengental karena bentuknya kotak, ya wadahnya itu dia mengikuti bentuk wadahnya.
Nature of this production, this guy is scooping out the coagulated tofu into the presses, and at the same time he's already preparing his next batch for boil. So again, they really do just, there's no waste of time here. It's not like they
Jadi
finish one batch
terus-menerus
completely
berjalan.
and then start the next one up. As soon as one of the vats is free, it's getting utilized right away for the next batch.
Jadi itu termasuk efisiensi dari suatu industri atau perusahaan. Jadi proses itu nggak berhenti. Satu selesai, nanti satu proses berjalan ke tahap berikutnya. Yang ini nggak kosong nih, yang udah selesai, tapi ada datang batch selanjutnya. Jadi terus berjalan produksi, nggak berhenti sampai hari itu selesai. Atau nggak antara bahan bakarnya atau bahannya itu habis ya. Jadi kayak gitu, itu namanya perusahaan yang bagus, the efficient, untuk menggunakan seluruh yang ada dalam waktu yang singkat juga ya.
After the other, endlessly. And the working conditions here are, they're intense. The floor is soaked and slippery. There is steam everywhere. The sun just beats through the busted asbestos roofing, and the air is this humid mix of soy, sweat, cigarette, and
Gabungan
plastic
semuanya.
smoke. It's remarkable how much these places remind me of Dobby Ghats, the laundry slum in Mumbai. I don't know what it is. I think it's like
Kayak di India.
the steam, the heat, the wetness, all this moisture everywhere. Just that same kind of vibe. Once the tofu is fully pressed, it's cut using barbecue grates as a template, and from there it's either dumped into these
Pemotongannya.
brine tanks and sent off to the market where it can be sold fresh, or it's headed to the fryers. And these
Itu
deep
digoreng.
fryers are where things get even more intense. I've kind of become numb to it. You just have this yet another giant workshop. Here we have all of the tofu makers cranking along with their stations. We have 2 giant trash boilers here, and then behind me the sort of final step, the deep fryers.
Ya, jadi produk jadinya itu ada yang udah digoreng juga. Jadi kan ada yang masih mentahan tuh ya, masih belum digoreng. Nah, ini ada yang udah diproses juga, digoreng di tempat itu. Ya, sisanya mungkin dijual ke tempat lain.
A whole section devoted to the fry. Rows of oversized woks bubbling away with oil. The air is just thick with smoke. There's no fuel here, no wood, it's not
nggak pakai
gas.
kayu.
It is heaps of burning plastic. Right there, fed directly to the flame.
Tuh ya,
Let me
tungkunya
tell you
ya.
guys, like you instantly know you are in one of these villages. Like, there's no hiding it. It's got that tinge, you know, that horrible smell when you start burning plastic that just in your gut, you know it's wrong. Something's going on.
Tuh, dari bau di sekitar tempat pabriknya itu tercium bau yang aneh gitu, nggak alami. Kalau kita ke gunung kan ada tuh bau alami ya, yang emang natural gitu, yang nggak ada campuran bahan kimia dan sebagainya. Nah, kalau dibandingkan dengan di sini, itu baunya saja tuh udah berbeda dengan situasi yang normal. Jadi ada sesuatunya ini tercampur dengan udaranya, sehingga hidung tuh bisa mengenali, wah ini ada yang aneh nih, ada yang beda nih, ada yang tercampur nih di udara ini. Gitu. Nah, itu yang bahan kimia yang mungkin gara-gara pembakaran plastik itu yang nggak sempurna, sehingga ada racun ataupun zat kimia itu yang toksik itu bisa dideteksi oleh hidung kita.
This air. That is the smell of these entire villages.
Tuh, satu desa
Air
yang
is just
baunya.
thick with this black smoke, and the smell of burning plastic is everywhere. And it mixes with the grease and the frying oil, and it kind of just sticks to your skin. And still, weirdly enough, I can kind of understand how these locals get used to it. After 30 minutes or so, it just sort of fades into the background.
Kalau pada awalnya masih kenal nih baunya kayak gini, tapi kalau udah berapa lama di sana, mungkin berapa jam, itu hidung itu akan beradaptasi dengan baunya, sehingga kayak wah ini baunya jadi normal aja gitu. Padahal mungkin tercampur tadi ya udara itu dengan zat-zat kimia yang berbahaya, tapi kita nggak sadar gara-gara udah terbiasa dengan baunya.
The truth is that this stuff is not harmless. A 2019 study looked into the effects of plastic fuel on Indonesia's food supply chain, and it focused on eggs laid by free-range chickens living near tofu factories. And the results were kind of insane. These eggs had the second highest dioxin levels ever recorded in Asia.
Tuh setinggi di Asia yang kedua gitu ya, gara-gara si ayam itu tinggal di desa tersebut, di desa tempat pabriknya itu ada. Jadi teracuni juga ya lingkungannya. Ketika lingkungannya teracuni, maka organisme yang hidup di sekitarnya juga ikutan terkena dampaknya.
To post-war Vietnam, where the soil had been poisoned by the famous Agent Orange.
What they said was insecticide to kill
Bahaya
mosquitoes
sekali.
here, and so that people wouldn't get malaria. But it turned out to be Agent Orange, the dioxins.
That same one that caused all those
Duh.
birth defects and cancers and just generational trauma across Vietnam that still affects the country today.
Bahayanya. Itu perang di Vietnam tuh gitu ya, karena ada menggunakan bahan kimia ya. Itu bisa menyebabkan jangka panjangnya itu ada jangka panjang kehancuran genetiknya. Jadi generasi sekarangnya mungkin sakit-sakitan, tapi generasi selanjutnya itu terpengaruhi secara genetik. Jadi ada yang bentuknya cacat, bentuknya nggak bagus, ada yang tumbuhnya nggak normal. Itu gara-gara agen oranye atau bahan kimia yang digunakan saat perang di Vietnam. Ya.
Studies have linked exposure to dioxins with all kinds of health issues. Cancers, heart disease, diabetes, messed up hormones. It is a long and really ugly list.
Banyak
Let's put
sekali
this in
tuh
perspective
implikasinya.
again. Eating just one egg from these areas would expose an adult to 70 times the European Food Safety Authority's tolerable daily intake for dioxin.
Tuh, satu telur bisa 70 kali lipat lebih tinggi dibandingkan batas amannya. Itu baru satu telur gitu. Bagaimana kalau orang hidup di sana berbulan-bulan, bertahun-tahun, pasti zat kimia yang berbahaya itu numpuk dalam tubuh kan. Ya, wah.
We'll stop there. The eggs are filled with other plastic-derived chemicals, SCCPs, PBDEs, FBOSs. I don't even know what any of that stuff means. But what I do know is I don't want it in my food.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, I do find there to be like at least a little bit of a contradiction in terms like these guys, they will not use Argentinian, Vietnamese, or even Indonesian soybeans because of the lack of quality. But no one's really afraid of the copious amounts of plastic that's getting into their foods. I don't know. Humans have weird norms.
As with the tofu making process, there's one person for each station. The deep frying is done by the women. The tofu arrives in those brine buckets, ready to be fried. And in the corner of every room is just a mountain of trash. This is, of course, the fuel. It's offcuts from the factories, unrecyclable plastics, wrappers, packaging, and it all gets scooped up by hand and fed into the burning fire beneath the oil. The tofu is then dropped in, handful by handful, until it becomes just this golden brown.
Sampai matang,
Eventually,
digoreng
it's
sampai kering.
scooped out with a strainer that is universally made of the front half of a standing fan.
Bekas kipas itu
Guys,
ya.
this is why
saringannya.
children in Asia have no fingers. Every front of a fan is always used for some kind of innovative thing. Usually I see them as grills, but tofu scoop, love it.
And it's laid out to cool, sorted by size, bagged, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you. All right.
And honestly, I thought that the tofu making was the rough part, but this is even more unbearable. The heat next to each of these deep frying burners just hits you like a punch, and the whole room
panas
reeks of
banget.
melted plastic. It is humid as hell, and these women, they're grinding. That is hard work.
Okay, I'm getting told I should try one of these. And so this is like this big, I don't know, square piece of tofu. Maybe it's a little bit different from these sort of longer pieces. It's less warm. It has almost like a donut-like texture. I think we're really getting in the way here. It's just really good. It has kind of like this crunchy outside that
Rasanya enak,
almost
cuma
rubbery like
beracun.
skin, and then this fluffy interior. Again, I don't know why there's so many tofu haters out there. To me, that is every bit as good as like a fried donut, but with a lot more protein packed within it. You don't get any of the kind of more dodgy smells from this area. I think anybody would like that. I'm interested in seeing how they really prepare it from here, because I think this is the base of like a pretty tremendous Indonesian dish.
Kombinasinya banyak
Incredibly,
banget.
from everything that I've found, no one's ever really tested the tofu itself, which is just kind of wild to me. I mean, I'm not an expert.
Guys, I'm eating too much of this at this point. But I'm telling you, at least here, maybe I'm just used to the smell. But straight off the heat, it's really good.
But if
enak
tofu
emang
is being
tahunya.
deep fried directly over open plastic flames with no filtration, that feels like a pretty direct route for contamination, more so than just some chicken who happened to be walking around nearby. And the scale of it, to me, is also what's most shocking.
Jadi kontaminasi itu terjadi ya. Jadi ada kontaminasi yang tidak terlihat. Ya kita mungkin lihat nih, oh pasti kebakar nih. Oh udah dikira udah habis. Tapi ternyata ada partikel yang lebih kecil karena udah nyampur sama udara. Ketika udah nyampur sama udara, itu bisa mengkontaminasi tahu-tahu tadi ya. Bayangin karena tahunya tadi di atas pembakaran, di atas wajannya itu kan sangat dekat ya. Jadi asapnya, bahan kimianya itu bisa aja menempel di tahu-tahu tadi. Itu kayak gitu, itu kontaminasi dari udaranya.
I visited maybe 30 tofu factories, and while some did use wood for the initial boilers,
Ada pakai kayu.
Yeah.
that was a rarity. And
tapi
every single
jarang.
one deep fried their tofu over burnt plastic flames. Just open fires pumping out black smoke right into the workspace and into the tofu. And I think it's pretty safe to assume that this is how all tofu and deep fried tofu is being made in and around the Surabayan area.
I've got to admit, like, you can't taste the plastic until you get out of the factory. It's so weird. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much of it in there that it's just like takes over your sense of smell.
And it's the second biggest city in Indonesia. It's home to more than 3 million people in the city itself and more than
Banyak orangnya.
10 in the surrounding area. It's not just some fringe operation, it's feeding a massive population with one of its staple foods.
Jadi bayangin tuh ada populasi banyak orang di sana, populasinya kan sampai 3 jutaan dan sekitarnya ada 10 jutaan. Itu kan bayangin berapa banyak orang yang teracuni dari pabrik tadi. Ya, jadi nggak cuma sedikit orang yang terkena dampaknya, tapi bisa aja sampai jutaan orang yang terdampak dari operasi atau pabrik pembuatan tahu yang menggunakan pembakaran plastiknya. Gitu ya, jadi nggak cuma sedikit yang terdampak tapi sampai jutaan. Bahaya
We're
di
looking
situ.
at another Agent Orange situation here. They've been cooking and eating this stuff this way for a good 20 years by now.
Sampai
And I think
bertahun-tahun
that
kan
some
lama.
of the more shocking health effects would have come to light.
They're all coming from villages like we shot today.
Yeah, so maybe not only that village, but there is several villages near East Java. There are some villages that produce tofu.
So, I mean, the problem obviously is like the plastic. Do you think anybody here cares about the plastic in this?
No one care. We just eat this because we never. I just thinking that nobody see how their food come from. They do not see how they produce it, so they don't care.
Aduh ya, kebiasaan Indonesia tuh kayak gitu. Kayak mereka nggak mikir ini makanan asal dari mana, berbahaya atau tidak, ini kesehatannya bagus atau enggak jangka panjangnya. Mungkin jangka pendeknya oke, makanan ini murah, enak dan bergizi. Tapi jangka panjangnya mungkin ada racun-racun tadi yang menumpuk dalam tubuh sehingga mungkin di saat mereka tua itu baru merasakan dampaknya. Jadi dampaknya itu enggak 1-2 hari ataupun beberapa bulan gitu. Tapi dalam jangka tahunan, mungkin 5 tahun, 10 tahun, sampai 20 tahun ke depan, baru nanti ada dampak yang bisa dirasakan ketika sering mengkonsumsi ataupun tinggal di tempat seperti itu. Ya.
Would care if they did know, if they did see it.
Maybe, but
Maybe
but
gitu, mungkin.
just 50% because I just thinking that if they replace the tofu using the fuel using other things, the price of tofu become
mahal
more
harganya.
expensive, and then I just thinking people prefer to buy something that is cheaper.
So maybe, yeah.
Tuh ya, harga murah tapi resikonya kesehatan kalian gitu. Apakah kalian mau milih kesehatan kalian jangka panjang atau makanan murah di hadapan kalian? Itu opsi yang tersedia di tempat seperti itu ya.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it being made today.
I think because I'm not eating this tofu every day, so it's okay for me just once, and then I'm not dying because of that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, me too. I suppose it's weird. Like, you see it today, you smell it, but when it comes to a dish like this, it's just covered in
It's so
so many other
delicious.
flavors. Yeah,
I don't care.
you stop worrying. Right?
Ini kayak rokok aja sih. Kan rokok nih, kita nggak ngerokok nih, tapi asapnya itu bisa mengenai orang sekitarnya. Kita nggak ngerokok, wah kita nggak konsumsi rokok. Tapi ketika ada orang yang merokok, itu asapnya itu bisa mempengaruhi orang yang ada sekitarnya. Ini kayak gini aja kasusnya. Jadi kita mungkin nggak konsumsi tahunya setiap hari, tapi kan produksi tahunya itu bisa mencemari lingkungan yang ada di sekitarnya, termasuk orang yang tidak mengkonsumsi tahunya. Jadi kalau prosesnya itu nggak benar, nggak cuma yang mengkonsumsi, tapi orang yang tidak mengkonsumsi itu bisa terlibat juga. Jadi ikutan kena ya dampaknya.
But I do think that it's likely there is something far more insidious underneath the surface here. And I think that somebody needs to start paying attention. Because if this tofu is even half as contaminated as those eggs, then there's a problem that's a lot bigger than just one village.
What do you think about the pollution? Do you think it's a serious problem or not a problem? Sure?
Yeah, we sure that that's a serious problem. There will be a serious health impact because like this region, this regency, this city was named as the most pollution city in Indonesia.
Tuh,
The
paling
most
tercemar.
polluted city in Indonesia. Wow.
Oddly, after being there, I actually kind of get where these tofu makers are coming from. A lot of these guys want to stop using plastic. But there's zero demand from consumers in Surabaya for a cleaner product.
Gitu. Jadi demand-nya, permintaan masyarakatnya tuh meminta tahu yang murah gitu. Jadi si produsen ini hanya ngikutin keinginan pasarnya aja. Kalau misalnya si demand-nya atau orang yang ingin membeli tahunya itu membayar harga yang lebih mahal, mau gitu ya, membayar harga yang mahal untuk produk yang lebih aman, mungkin nggak masalah. Tapi kan kita lihat persaingannya, kalau bisa murah kenapa enggak gitu. Dan dari masyarakatnya juga tidak mempermasalahkan. Nah, kita bisa lihat tuh bahwa dari masyarakatnya itu tidak sadar terhadap bahaya ke depannya gitu. Nah, itu yang jadi masalah. Ketika masyarakatnya tuh mau yang murah-murah aja tapi berbahaya, ya dari pengusahanya hanya ngikutin permintaan dari konsumennya gitu. Jadi ya ngikutin aja gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya kita bisa lihat nih, misalnya masyarakatnya memboikot, nggak mau beli tahu yang produksinya pakai sampah plastik, bisa saja nanti dari pengusaha ini ngikutin permintaan dari konsumennya. Tapi resikonya tadi, harganya mungkin jadi lebih mahal karena ya bahan bakar plastik tuh dianggapnya lebih murah dibandingkan dengan kayu gitu. Jadi ada dampak positif dan negatifnya, dan resikonya juga ada, yaitu dalam bisnis nanti dalam hal yang lebih luas lah.
There is a lot of difference between the plastic and the coconut. Like the plastic, they can come
Tuh.
every day,
Tuh.
frequently.
Setiap hari
Like,
bisa
we
tersedia.
just celebrate our Hari Raya, Eid al-Fitr at Ramadan.
Yeah.
Ramadan, and the price of coconut just become high in price.
Tuh, harganya mahal.
What about wood? How much is wood compared to plastic?
Wood is the same thing as coconut. They just cannot come frequently because of the stock of the wood is not as much as plastic.
It's just not as reliable even.
Yeah.
So even if you guys had better boilers or more efficient boilers, it might still be a problem because you might not get the supply frequently enough.
Yeah, because like you know, we use plastic every day and we consume it like a whole day, and the next day we need that again.
Yeah.
And if we don't use that, we what we will do?
Yeah.
Like you know,
Yeah.
we cannot just
pasrah juga
make
berarti ya.
wood like they just can every day with
Right.
something like that.
Jadi itu penting ya, maksudnya ketersediaan bahan bakar itu penting. Bayangin kalau misalnya dia menggunakan kayu, tapi kayunya tidak tersedia, mereka nggak bisa produksi tahunya, gitu. Yang jadi masalah adalah ketersediaan bahan bakarnya. Kalau dibandingkan dengan plastik, plastik itu bisa disediakan setiap harinya. Maka dari itu kalau nggak ada kayu, plastik itu lebih mudah untuk digunakan, udah murah, banyak lagi tersedia, gitu dibandingkan dengan kayu. Kayu itu tadi kan harganya mahal, kadang-kadang nggak tersedia, jadinya orang tuh malas untuk menggunakan kayu, ya lebih banyak menggunakan plastiknya.
Traps them. Change means risk, and no one wants to be first.
We don't have any solutions. We don't have any solutions. We can do nothing.
Right.
We can do nothing because of that. The government just give us the warning, but they don't
Yeah.
give us solutions, and they don't have any regulations to, you know,
To fix
make
it.
everything clear.
It's not
Ya, kalau pemerintah juga kalau misalnya mau ngelarang itu harus punya solusinya. Sedangkan tadi solusi kayu itu belum jadi pilihan gitu karena ketersediaannya yang terbatas. Gitu. Jadi itu masalah juga. Pemerintah inginnya berhenti nih, wah ini berbahaya nih kalau terus dilakukan. Tapi solusinya nggak ada. Nah ini jadi masalah lagi. Itu kalau misalnya nggak ada solusinya, bisa aja pabrik-pabrik ini tuh tutup gara-gara tadi. Ya plastik nggak boleh digunakan, tapi kayunya nggak tersedia dengan baik. Bahan bakarnya nggak ada, sehingga produksi bisa berkurang dan menyebabkan kerugian bagi pabrik-pabrik yang menggunakan kayu. Gitu. Jadi itu apa ya dari sisi kebijakannya.
It's not that these guys love burning trash. It's that right now, that's the only way they can stay alive. It doesn't
Pasrah
seem
juga.
like an unfixable problem to me. Some of the factories that use dedicated wood burners told me that they are actually more efficient than plastic burners. They just require more capital upfront to construct. Loans could help here.
So it's interesting, guys. There is that one factory that uses wood.
Ini yang
I've got to
sedikit
admit,
ya,
by
pakai
comparison,
kayu.
like pretty professional. Latif was just telling me that they were saying like they have the far more efficient, sort of maybe slightly more modern boilers, and therefore like it's actually more cost efficient for them to use wood. Just more of a capital outlay up front, and you can see it right away. Like
Biayanya
their
lebih
smokestack,
besar.
it just
Tuh, lebih bersih
has
ya.
absolutely no smoke, no black.
Tuh, kita bisa ngeliat perbandingannya sama yang menggunakan plastik. Tadi kan plastik tuh keluar asap hitam. Sedangkan yang pakai kayu itu setidaknya lebih bersih gitu. Dan bahan kayu itu adalah bahan yang alami ya. Tahu kan bahan yang alami berarti di dalam kayu itu kan nggak ada bahan-bahan yang beracun di dalamnya. Dan ketika kebakar itu bisa kebakar habis. Ya kebakar dengan baik sehingga efisien bahan bakarnya. Dibandingkan dengan plastik tadi. Plastik itu menghasilkan asap yang hitam. Asap adalah bentuk pembakaran yang tidak sempurna. Dan di dalam asap itu bisa tergabung tadi asap plastik itu bisa tergabung bahan-bahan kimia yang berbahaya. Jadi selain asapnya itu jadi masalah dan bahan kimia itu bisa mencemari lingkungan itu dari bahan plastik itu ya. Jadi itu perbedaannya cukup jauh ya dari penampakan luarnya yang antara pabrik yang menggunakan bahan bakar kayu dan menggunakan bahan bakar plastik sebagai sumbernya.
Following clouds above it.
And while I'm not a huge fan of subsidies, I'm less of a fan of just poisoning giant populations of people. So if alternative fuels are just simply not cheap enough, then surely there's a way
belum murah.
to subsidize a fuel for these deep fryers like gas. I'm just spitballing
pakai
here,
gas.
but these guys, they want to change. They just don't know what to do. And if you ask me, change, it's kind of necessary.
Hi guys, one more of these crazy sort of fish, shrimp pasted tofus. I'm telling you, a lot easier than Wum Nam Mam Tom, if you're Vietnamese. This stuff goes down a little bit easier. But that secret ingredient, that plastic, I'm telling you, you just straight forget about it. This is really good. That's quality tofu. Surabaya, keep doing your thing. Maybe the best toxic tofu on earth.
Ya jadi itu ya apa yang kita bisa pelajari ya tadi dia harganya murah tentang tahunya, tapi resikonya jangka panjangnya yang masih belum diketahui dan kemungkinan bisa berbahaya bagi tubuh. Apa yang tidak terlihat belum tentu menghasilkan hal yang baik. Jadi kita harus tahu nih sumber makanan kita tuh dari mana, hasilnya, produksinya. Ketika sudah diketahui aman, maka hal itu bisa menjamin kesehatan kita. Jangan sampai kita nggak tahu nih apa yang kita makan itu ternyata mengandung zat-zat yang berbahaya seperti itu. Ya bayangin itu tercampur dengan asap plastik. Nah, asap plastik itu dikonsumsi oleh tubuh kita. Mungkin nggak terlihat secara penglihatan kita ya, secara kasat mata nggak kelihatan. Cuma dampaknya bisa dirasakan langsung, gitu ya. Mungkin nggak langsung juga ya, tapi dalam jangka panjang mungkin bisa terlihat, gitu. Jadi mungkin sebulan 2 bulan nggak bermasalah. Tapi kalau udah sampai tahunan, itu mungkin dampaknya nggak cuma ke diri sendiri, tapi ke keturunan selanjutnya. Karena bisa berpengaruh secara genetik juga. Ya itu bahayanya di situ ya, bisa berdampak yang langsung mungkin ini ke pernafasan ya, pernafasan tuh langsung karena kan kena hidung langsung terhirup dan itu bisa batuk-batuk ke masalah pernafasan. Yang jangka panjangnya adalah tadi udah masuk dalam tubuh terserap dan mungkin bisa berpengaruh ke generasi selanjutnya. Nah itu yang bisa kita pelajari dari video ini. Nah kalau misalkan tertarik dengan video ini, sumbernya sudah saya cantumkan di deskripsi video. Nah mungkin sekian yang bisa saya sampaikan. Semoga video bisa bermanfaat. Kurang lebih ya mohon maaf. Kita ketemu lagi di pembahasan selanjutnya. Insya Allah.